When we last left off, I had spent 20 minutes watching Smurfs movie trailers. KT went to get cake, and D-Max maintained radio silence until a fork appeared. We now return you to the show.
Why is there a fork on the screen?
Because there's a fork in my hand.
What are you eating? Pork salad?
Chocolate cake.
Ew, yuck.
Chocolate cake.
I don't like chocolate cake. I like chocolate things, but not chocolate cake.
This is, well, it's kind of more like, it actually tastes more like
a... or something.
It tastes more like those Costco muffins than actual cake.
Did you get the last random crap, KT? Or Reverend?
No.
Oh.
No.
I got, they gave out headbands and wristbands, and the headbands have numbers on them.
Blue headbands?
Yeah. The red, white, and blue.
Sucks.
I was going to wear them, but then they're numbered.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to eBay one of those.
But I got like 1625. CS6 Ranger got like 600 or something.
I'm really going to have to eBay one of those.
But, I mean, I still try and buy them, but in the past, you know, I think you usually got more for your money, you know, because, I mean, even if it was half-used stuff, it was still decent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you get your $8 worth, and that's about it.
I know. What am I going to do with that Batman thing? Well, you saw my Gizwiz bag of crap, right? That thing was awesome. It was worth like 10 times more than I paid for it. And the video got shown on Twit, so double whammy right there. Rev, you find the right trailer yet?
Yes.
Is it on YouTube?
No.
And like, if you found it on YouTube, you should try the YouTube player on this chat. See how well that works.
I got a perfect video to show why you're eating chocolate cake.
You better not rickroll me. I've already gotten rickrolled once.
No, it's a picture of a giant zit being popped. I mean,
You
video.
think that's gonna really stop me? Are you kidding me?
Except I probably lost the link.
There's something disconcerting about like just seeing a silhouette like this, D-Max.
I don't even know how I got to the silhouette. I exited this thing and changed Windows to use my mic as default or whatever to try and get it to work. And when I came back, it had gone to silhouette instead of my TV tuner.
Well, the only thing we could see in your TV tuner is the macrovision anyways.
You saw half of the weather lady.
I want to see the upper half. It's not as interesting.
I don't even know how to change the channel, or whether I have to go like Media Center and change the channel or what.
It's not as interesting to see the bottom half as she's wearing the clothes, man. We've tried to dial that number, though. Kraus, why won't you get on Google Plus with us? I put it as a public hangout. Just in case if Vic on Dutra wants to get on here. You can watch me eating cake, and we can watch you solving the Rubik's Cube. Rev can time you and put you in the world records book, whatever.
Why is it asking me if I'm still awake?
Oh, like it does that once every hour if you don't, or if you don't say anything. So like it doesn't, you can't just like leave it on.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because the way this works, unlike Skype, which is peer-to-peer, this is actually going back to their servers. So they're trying to save on bandwidth.
They're probably recording every word and indexing it.
Of course they are. Then they'll hear when I said fuck Google.
I know. All of a sudden, like, Rev's internet connection just goes up and down randomly.
My Google Plus account will be banned. Like, you are no longer allowed to use our service.
Kraus D-Max is on cam. I'm looking at his default silhouette.
Where's Kraus at?
Can I change that? I'll change it. I don't know how to work this program.
Go under settings, see if you can change it. Tia just found 10 hours of the Pop-Tart Cat.
You mean Nyan Cat?
If I say that, nobody understands what I say, so I have to say Pop-Tart Cat because everybody around me is white.
Well, I know what Nyan Cat is, although Riley likes to call it Neon Cat.
Neon Cat?
Technically, it is a neon cat, sort of.
Although, Team 9000 for April Fools? No, Easter had like an Easter egg hunt on their site. And I guess one of the eggs were like the Nyan Cat eggs. And I think that's when everybody was talking about it. And I'm going, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell's a Nyan Cat?
So I'm guessing Netflix just barely got Elvin lead. Or lied, however you say it. It's German. Can't say it. I can't pronounce German words other than Guten Tag.
What about lead?
Because everybody's talking about it that has an Xbox. Oh, damn it. That was a typo in that tweet. Oh, well. I'll leave it. It's not like Google Plus where I can go in and edit my post.
What does that even mean? This is just zoo?
It's supposed to be so, but I typed Z in instead.
Okay, for some reason my chat stopped working.
That would be Kraus.
So
Hello.
you watched Falling Skies?
I haven't watched tonight's episode. I have it downloaded.
Well, neither have I. I was just asking because a couple people online made it sound like the movie, it was the worst thing since like it was terrible bad. But then I watched it and I'm going, seems fine to me. I mean,
Well, like, you mean this week's or just like the series
no,
in
just
general?
like the premiere and stuff.
Well, okay, so the first half of the premiere, which is like episode 1, supposedly episode 1 since they aired 2 together, I thought it was a little slow and I was like,
Yeah, so apparently my chat wasn't working. I didn't even realize Kraus was in my room.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I was.
Yep, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just probably huge lag here. Let me get out of the JTV thing. There was probably huge. There was only like 3 people viewing. I didn't know that nobody wasn't really paying attention to what was happening in there.
Well, the last thing that was on my screen was something I think that I said to KT, or no, it was the last thing that D-Max said before he got on Google Plus with us, and then KT started talking to you. I was like, where the hell is he even at? I thought KT was broadcasting or something. Then I reload my screen, and there you are.
But no, yeah, D-Max, at the first half of the pilot episode was a little slow. And I think it took me that long to get over the fact that he's not playing a doctor from ER.
Or a librarian. Have you seen
Yeah,
those movies?
yeah, I saw those. But I still think of him as a doctor from ER. So after I got past that, I thought the second episode was actually the best one that I've seen so far. And I don't even know what the hell happened. And the third one was okay. And I'm like, the last week's, I was like, what the hell is going on? They're trying to do way too much.
What show are you watching?
So, Falling Skies.
Falling Skies.
No, never
It's an
heard
alien
of it.
apocalypse movie. I mean,
Steven Spielberg.
except I don't even know what that means anymore. He's a producer on like 1,000 things these days.
He probably just throws in $1,000 or $2, and they're like, "Oh, you're a producer."
See, I don't think it's really fair to say that being a producer really means much other than you're just giving them money. If you say you're directing, yeah, then I would check that out in an instant.
But like, I think the reason why people are disappointed is because it got overhyped because of that fact. Like, as a show, it's okay. It has its rough edges, and I hope they develop it a little bit more, because the episodes kind of are really not really formed that well. But I'm hoping, like, tonight's is going to be actually good. Because, you know, like, I watch it, and there's those little gems where, like, this series could actually, you know, live up to its potential. And then other parts is like, what are you doing, man? But I'll give it a chance. I mean, I gave Stargate Universe a chance, and it actually turned out good, and then they canceled it.
Yeah, it turned out good after I stopped watching.
Yeah. I told you, like, season 2, second half of season 2, it got really good. Like, the finale, excellent.
I mean, the first season or whatever, first half of the season, it was the same. It was one long episode essentially.
The whole first season really wasn't that good, but the second half of the second season is like, I really wish they did more of that.
I still need to finish watching Atlantis. I think I stopped. I forget, like halfway through the last season, maybe. Or
well,
I just started.
You can hold off until whenever. Yeah, you can hold off until whenever they do the movie, because they really don't conclude it. Like, they left it on a point where the movie should have finished everything off. It wasn't like in SG-1 when it ended.
I was SG-1 sort of went downhill for me towards the end when they did that whole Ori thing.
Well, yeah, you know they were going to rename it Stargate Universe. After, MacGyver left. Whatever his real name, Richard Dean Anderson left. They were actually going to rename it Stargate Universe, and they didn't. And that's where they got the Stargate Universe name from.
What's really interesting is that 8 years after the fact, I'm finally getting into Firefly.
I tried watching Firefly.
Thanks for living under a rock.
Everybody says Firefly is such a great TV show, and I tried to watch it on Hulu, and I got like 10 minutes in, and I couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah,
well, you
not
actually have
good.
to give it a few episodes.
No, you don't. It's not that good.
And then I think I saw the movie.
I understand why it was canceled, but
Serenity.
I mean, it's basically the Wild West in space, except not much happens in space.
Well, really, if you think about it, the original Star Trek was Wild West in space, and they did it so much better than Firefly
they called it like
did.
that. That's the reason they called it Star Trek.
Yeah, but Star Trek did it so much better than Firefly's. I mean, like, Firefly is an interesting concept. It just didn't work for me.
I don't know. It might be because a lot of it was based on Asian mythology.
I think the problem is I actually saw Serenity before I even knew it was based on Firefly.
That's why.
And, like, I didn't really like Serenity, and then, like, halfway through the first episode, I'm like, this seems so familiar. And then I was like, oh, it's that fucking movie Serenity. And, like, after that, I just really didn't have any interest in it.
I think it might have been, what do you call it? I don't know what the word is, but I saw, you know, not Enterprise, The Next Generation, you know, when I was, however old I was. You know, and that was my first experience to these star sci-fi TV shows, so that's sort of my basis. I never got into any of the other star space things like Andromeda, Babylon 5.
I watched
Babylon 5 was good, man.
Yeah, I watched
rendered
Andromeda
on an Amiga.
What's the one? Farscape. All those.
I never got into Farscape.
Battlestar Galactica. None of those ever interested in me.
The original or the reboot?
Well, I never saw the original. The reboot.
The originals were so bad. I watched them again. I'm like, I really watched this crap when I was a kid.
I actually used to watch
some of Buck Rogers when I was a kid.
I used to watch Babylon 5 for a while, but then I like missed half of a season, and when I got back into it, I had no idea what the fuck was going on anymore.
I don't know.
Well, Galactica did great. The reboot, they did great, but the ending, I can't get over the ending. They could have done so much better with it, so much more with it. Like they built up the story around the little girl. And then by the time they got to the end of the show, it was no longer about the little girl. It made no sense.
Yeah. Well, they didn't really know what they were doing, anyways. Like, have you heard the recording of them, of the writers doing their like writers meeting?
No.
They're kind of like, what if we just do this or this? Like, I don't know, maybe about this. They really didn't know what they were going to do with it, so I was kind of not that surprised.
I like the approach that the creators of Lost, the way they did it was that they gave themselves a time where they knew the show was going to end, and they worked towards it instead of just, putting a cap right at the end and just saying, yeah, this is the end.
Except the ending
I could argue with
sucks.
that. I could argue with that. Yeah, after devoting an entire week of my life to watching Lost from episode 1 to the finale, you can tell they just said, fuck it, it's ending, let's just wrap it up.
Only a week? I devoted my fucking 6 years to that fucking piece of crap.
Okay, here's the thing. When Lost first started, I wanted to watch it, but I missed like the first 3 episodes because it came on when I was at work. I caught like the 4th or 5th episode, and it made absolutely no fucking sense to me what was going on. So I said, fuck this show, I'll watch it when it comes out on DVD. But the DVDs were like $80 at the time or whatever. So now that it's on Netflix, and I have Netflix, I was like, okay, I'm going to go through Lost. And I started watching it, and I started getting into it, and then I sat there and watched every episode one after another until I either fell asleep and had to go to work, and then like as soon as I came home from work, I went right back into the next episode. So after about 8 days straight of watching Lost, I got to the ending. Then I went back and watched all the mini episodes and DVD extras on YouTube.
I don't know. But I think Lost got into that zone where J.J. Abrams, like, if he does one project for too long, he just starts going,
He's like, how can I shake this up a little
crazy
bit?
ideas. Like, he seriously gets these crazy ideas if he works on a project too long.
Like, the concept that he was going for wasn't a bad concept. It's just they didn't. If they would have had another season, to like, explain it a little bit better, people probably wouldn't have had such a problem with it. But like, they cram this whole ending in, and everyone's like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because it made absolutely no sense unless you were really following it closely.
They pulled an M. Night Shyamalan and did this, they were dead the whole time thing.
No, see, they weren't dead the whole time. That's where everyone gets confused. They were not dead the whole time. That's where everyone gets confused.
Maybe I just need to go back and rewatch it then.
Yeah. Okay. See, the thing is, now see at the end, what the whole Second Life thing, where they're reliving everything the way it would happen if the plane hadn't crashed, that's all Jack's afterlife. That's from the point when he gets stabbed and dies on the island, and then that goes on as his afterlife. That's his purgatory before he crosses over. Everyone else was still alive. Well, the people that made it onto the plane, they were still alive. Hurley and the other guys were still alive. Because when Jack meets up with his father, and his father's explained to him that he's dead, he said, some of these people died before you, some died after you. But you all agreed, you all made this place to meet here so you could find each other again in the next life. That means, like Hurley and Ben continued on the island doing their thing. Rose and Bernard were still living on the island in their little hut, staying away from everybody. The 6 that made it on the plane made it off the island. This is just years later after they finally died. All this, their souls come into Jack's limbo. And that's where they all met up to cross over.
I don't know.
Well, damn, I should have just said it then.
It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I also didn't like the religious whatever word I'm looking for, of it. And there was like a bazillion questions that didn't get answered, or maybe, some of that like sort of threw out earlier, like Walt. When Walt first entered the island, he was going to be some special kid with special powers, and then they just got rid of him.
They did explain that. It kind of. The thing was, he had these special powers, and the Dharma Initiative, if you still want to call him that at that point, took him because they were going to put him into their experiments. But his power scared them, so they got rid of him. They knew they wouldn't be able to control him the way they wanted to. That's why they gave him back to his father.
That and his
got him off the
contract ran
island.
out.
Yeah. Well, okay, see, on the season 6 DVD, there's actually a 12-minute bonus episode where it's supposed to initiate a spin-off of Hurley, Ben, and Walt being back on the island together. Whether or not that spin-off will ever happen, probably not.
I think Hurley should just stick to being on Weezer covers.
You know, Hurley was never actually a character on Lost. The guy who played Hurley actually came in and auditioned for the part of Sawyer, and they liked his audition, but they didn't really feel that he fit the part of Sawyer, so they wrote a whole new character just for him to keep him on the show.
I kind of like some of these mystery shows that are sort of in the vein of Lost, but for one, if they end up like Lost, then, you know, you spend all this time and for nothing because the show ends in a crappy way, or they end up getting canceled before the mystery is solved, and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much all the mysteries of Lost can somewhat be summed up in their somewhere in one of the other episodes, but they're just not really
what the
that
heck is
well
Sumomo
explained.
talking about?
That's not Sumomo. I'm not in my office, if you haven't noticed.
Well, tell whoever it is to shut up. We're trying to be nerds here. At this point, we were joined by someone more internet famous than all of us combined. Want to know who it was and what we talked about? Tune in next week for part 3.